Good afternoon and welcome, a huge welcome to our very first Nuffield Farming live stream. I wanted to take the opportunity to talk to you today about what is Nuffield. This is very much aimed at those of you who are new to Nuffield farming but are interested in learning a little bit more and either applying this time for a scholarship or in years to come. So a huge welcome, and I hope you find it informative. I would encourage you to ask any questions throughout. More than welcome questions. If I don't know the answer off the top of my head, then I'll get back to you. So firstly, a little bit about me. My name's Charlotte Merson and I work for Nuffield as the Alumni Officer, which covers a varied number of jobs, including supporting scholars going through the application process and their journey once they become a Nuffield scholar. And if you've got any questions about it, then please do email me and I can give you a call or ask today. My email is charlotte@nuffieldScholar.org. So, to kick off, firstly, what is Nuffield? Nuffield Farming awards life-changing scholarships that unlocks an individual's potential and broadens their horizon through study and travel overseas. It is a view to developing farming and agricultural industries. Essentially, Nuffield Farming leads positive change in agriculture. So every year we get approximately 20 Nuffield Farming scholarships being offered, and these are awarded to people in the UK between the ages of 22 and 45 from across the agricultural industry, and you can do a varied number of roles within the agricultural industry. It is for anyone in the industry. There is no need for formal qualifications in order to apply for a Nuffield scholarship. Instead, the Trust really looks for an individual with potential where they can broaden their horizons, and they want to select tomorrow's leaders so that they can lead the industry as a whole. So about Nuffield Farming. The very first Nuffield Farming scholarships were awarded in 1947 to Jane Bennett Evans, Edward Stokes and John Roswell. And since then, Nuffield Farming scholars have travelled to every continent in the world with the exception of Antarctica, and hopefully someone will do that in years to come. So firstly, I'm just hoping that you can hear me okay. I'm live streaming from my house due to the restrictions and so on, so I hope it is working, but do please comment if it's not and I can try and make some changes. So as well as having a huge impact on people's home businesses or their working role, Nuffield scholars have also been responsible for many industry changes and innovations and discoveries. For example, the advocacy of oilseed rape was a child of John Roswell, and he did his Nuffield scholarship in 1947. The founder of the UK broiler industry, Geoffrey Sykes, was a Nuffield scholar, as was Jill Hutchinson Smith, who started Shropshire Blue Cheese. And as well as Open Farm Sunday, something I'm sure we've all been to and enjoyed over the years, that was also started by Ian Piggott, a Nuffield scholar. Nuffield Farming scholarship member countries span the globe. There are established programmes in Australia, France, Ireland, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Kenya and Zimbabwe. And associated countries include Brazil, the USA, South Africa, Armenia, Georgia and Azerbaijan. We've had on average 20 Nuffield scholarships a year, and this has brought about to date 1,000 UK scholarships. In fact, 2019 saw the year of the 1,000th scholar, and I would highly recommend you take the time to watch the Year of the 1,000th Scholar video. It's very emotional, very thought-provoking and absolutely brilliant. So once you've got your Nuffield scholarship, what happens? So there are 10 UK regional groups for Nuffield scholars and 12 study groups for the very, very diverse interests that all of our scholars have, whether this includes an agricultural group, a beef and sheep group, a soils group, an export group, a dairy group, or so on. There's something for everybody with an interest in agriculture, including business groups. And also just want to add that Nuffield Farming Scholarships Trust is a charity, and we wouldn't be here today without the support of our wonderful sponsors. So just wanted to touch on the application process and how it all works and how you can apply to become one of our scholars. So the application process, it starts in January when the applications open. So for 2020 applications, it's already open and live. I've just seen a question about the scholarship for only UK citizens. Yes, in the UK, it is for UK citizens only. However, the countries that I previously mentioned also have Nuffield scholarships and do the scholarship journey. So I would suggest having a look on the Nuffield International website, and hopefully you'll find a lot of information on there. So applications open in January 2020 this year, and they close on the 31st of July 2020. The application process all happens online. It's a very simple form that you've got to fill in, and I would recommend starting the application process sooner rather than later, as soon as you start, you will be put in touch with your regional rep. So I mentioned the regions area earlier, and you'll be put in touch with somebody within your region who can help you, guide you through the process of applying to be a Nuffield scholar. And with their help and support, you'll get a lot more ability to choose what to put in your application and how to really make your application stand out, as we do have quite a few people applying and it is a competitive process. So I would highly recommend starting your application soon to get the additional help. So after the applications close, the selection committee spends a bit of time looking at them and will invite people at the end of August forwards for interview. We also run a series of mock interviews. These happen in September and they'll happen regionally, so you can go to a region that suits you, either a date that suits or somewhere nice and local to you. And these then lead into the actual interviews, which happen in London, and they'll be in October. So what happens next? So you'll either be successful or unsuccessful, and we very much invite people to come back and have a second go if you are unsuccessful. We find a lot of our scholars do come back and reapply. They've honed in their application, practiced their interview techniques, and come back far better applicant. So if you are successful, you'll find out within 3 days of having been for an interview, and then you'll be awarded your scholarship and you'll be invited to come to the annual conference. The Nuffield Farming Annual Conference takes place in November, and it's in a different location each year. This year it's happening in the east of England. I would recommend that if you're interested in doing a Nuffield scholarship or have applied and have been unsuccessful, do please come along and attend the conference. It's a really, really brilliant few days. You can attend part of the conference or you can attend the whole conference, just with whatever suits. And I promise you'll learn something, whether it's about a Nuffield application and it'll inspire you to do one in the future, or learn something else that you can take home to your farm or work. So if you've been awarded a Nuffield scholarship and you're one of our select approximately 20 scholars, then you'll come to the conference where you'll be formally awarded your scholarship. So you'll come up on the stage and you'll be presented with a tie for gentlemen and a brooch for ladies, and this officially marks the start of your Nuffield farming journey. Then going forwards, you'll have January and February to prepare and start planning for your journey and where you might want to start travel, and some people use these couple of months to do a little bit of early travel before in March you go to the pre-CSC and then going on to the CSC. The CSC is our Contemporary Scholars Conference, and it takes place in March every year in different locations around the world. In 2020, it was in Australia, and next year it's going to be in the UK, so perfectly nice and easy for all the UK applicants. At the pre-CSC, which happens just before the formal CSC, all of the UK scholars come together. So the approximate 20 that have been awarded their scholarship, you'll get to spend a few days together, get to know each other and form a really strong group before you then move on to the CSC, which where all of the international scholars from your year group attend. Approximately 70 people attend that. You'll then move on from that and you'll have 9-10 months to go and do your travelling. And this is 8 weeks minimum of international travel before you have to submit a written report in June. And one of the common questions we get is, do we get any help with our written report? Absolutely you do. So you'll go to a report writing training day in the December before submitting the report in the June. And there's a huge amount of help and support and report writing editors that will assist you with the process. Once your report has been submitted in June, you do a presentation training day in the September, as you have to create a 12-minute presentation that will be presented at the conference. So you'll have seen, as part of your journey, you'll have seen the scholars go through and do their 12-minute presentation. And it's a really great way of bringing together and getting a chance to showcase and show off what you've learned on your journey and what you can bring back to British agriculture and to your business. So once that's happened, you then become one of the wonderful Nuffield alumni, and would highly encourage you to go and share all of your learnings across the industry, whether this is attending shows and events or encouraging other people to join up and do a Nuffield scholarship in the future. As part of the Nuffield farming scholarship process, a few of the scholars will be given the opportunity to do a GFP, which stands for a Global Focus Programme. This is a travel programme that's on top of your 8 weeks worth of travel, and it gives you approximately 7 weeks as part of a small international group to go around and travel to a number of different nations where you'll see a broad range of agricultural systems and different political and social views. So I'd like to move on and just touch on some of the frequently asked questions that we get a lot of the time. So one of the most common ones that we hear is, do I have to be recommended or nominated to apply for a Nuffield scholarship? And the answer is absolutely not. Anybody within the agricultural industry, as long as you fulfil the criteria in terms of age and UK citizenship and working and have an interest in agriculture in the UK, then you can apply. You don't need to know any existing Nuffield scholars. You can apply through the website, speak to myself or anybody else, and we'll help you as much as we can. Another frequent question we get is, do I need to find my own sponsor? Again, no. As part of the interview process, we'll allow the sponsors to come in and maybe watch some of the interviews and see if they are interested in sponsoring you. But even if not, don't worry about that. We have a lot of sponsors, and we work together and we put you in touch with your sponsor and give you a sponsor for your journey. We then expect you to stay in touch with your sponsor and update them on how the scholarship is going, but we don't expect you to find your own sponsor. So I was just going through some of the frequently asked questions that we get, and I talked about how did we have to top up the grant with our own money. The answer is no to that one. It's purely personal preference, but I will promise you that you don't have to. The second question we get is, do we need to find additional sponsorship money or an additional sponsor? No, absolutely not. We find you your sponsor and they sponsor you for the Nuffield Scholarship Farming Programme. You do not need to find a second sponsor on top of that. Another question we get is, do I need a degree to do this? Do I need to have a formal education, a degree? As I touched on earlier, no, absolutely not. You do not need a formal education or a degree. We have scholars of all standards with all forms of education applying. It is very much open for all. All that we ask is that you are with a UK citizen, you work within agriculture, have an interest in agriculture, and have a future in agriculture as well, and a willingness to give back everything that you've learnt. And another question is, do I have to be a farmer? As we've touched on before, no. We really welcome as many farmers to apply as possible. However, it's the overall agricultural industry that's important. We're interested in everybody, whether it's direct primary producers, whether it's farmers, whether it's vets, and so on. It can be anybody, lecturers, we have everybody of all forms applying. So another question, how much money am I given? How much is my grant? When do I get my grant? So a bursary of approximately £7,000 will be given towards your travel and subsistence expenses. In addition, the trust and your individual sponsor will meet your travel and expenses for the pre-CSC and the CSC. The total award is in excess of £12,000. And if you go on to do a GFP as part of your scholarship, then you'll be given this money on top of that. That's separate to it. Then another question is, do I have to travel for 8 weeks continuously? And the answer is no. We understand that for some people's personal lives, families, businesses, work, whatever the reason, travelling for 8 weeks is just not possible. You can't necessarily do that, whereas others can. And we very much welcome, if you can go for an eight weeks constantly, that's fantastic, and we'd encourage you to do so. However, we understand that that's not possible for everyone. So as long as you do your 8 weeks, it can be spread out as you please. I will just say, obviously financially, if you can go from local country to local country, it makes things cheaper and easier for you as well. And what happens post my scholarship? As we mentioned earlier, you'll be invited to all of the Nuffield regional events and study group events, and we really want you to shout about your Nuffield journey, what you've learned, and we may well call upon you to do press interviews in the future as well. So I just wanted to take the quick opportunity to touch on the GFP and go into that in a little bit more depth. So I've heard a huge amount about the GFP, and there are videos on YouTube for those that have done it in the past, and it'll take you approximately 7 weeks and you'll get to see a huge amount, but please don't be disappointed if you don't get selected to do a GFP. It's only open for approximately 6 of the 20 scholars, so take the opportunity if it gets given to you. Now, where can you find out more about Nuffield farming? I would highly recommend going to your website or emailing me, and I can give you a call back so that we can discuss any questions you've got in more detail. And what I would like to say is, no question is silly, no question is too small. I can certainly try my hardest to answer them, and if I can't, then I can find out the answer for you and come back to you at a later date. And we've got people that have done all sorts of topics over the years, so we can certainly put you in touch with an expert in your topic so they can help you with your application. And that's something to bear in mind. We've got 1,000 UK scholars, as well as all of the Nuffield International scholars, so you're not alone when you go through your scholarship journey. You'll have myself and the team in the office to help and support you throughout it, but you'll also be given full access to our entire database, which will help you form contacts. And when you're travelling, you can use the database, speak to people, for example, in Australia, New Zealand, and anywhere around the world through the Nuffield database. And they'll also then put you in touch with other people who will help you out as part of your journey. So I'm going to wrap it up there, really. Probably heard plenty from me today. I would encourage you and say it's a fantastic opportunity. Do have a look at it. Do contact us if there's anything we can do to help, any questions you want to ask. And I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry for the technology little issue in the middle there. And I look forward to speaking to you in the future. And if you've got any comments or thoughts on what we can do in the future in terms of Facebook Live or videos that you'd like to see, again, do let us know and we'll do what we can. Thank you very much and goodbye.